Mr. Rosen, I would like to discuss something that you didn't mention in your written testimony. The fact that in the days leading up to the January 6th attack, FBI agents reportedly visited more than a dozen extremists already under investigation to discourage them from traveling to DC for the so-called Stop the Steal rally. According to one FBI senior official, this was based on a quote, credible and actionable information about extremists, quote, desire to engage in violence on January 6th. So Mr. Rosen, were you aware of the FBI's intervention and efforts leading up to January 6th?
Well, I think you're referring to some information that FBI Assistant Director Sanborn.
Did you know that they were interviewing people, Mr. Rosen?
The FBI periodically briefed me on intelligence updates. Good. I don't want to get into the specifics.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm glad they did let you know. So it seems like there is a significant step by the FBI to actually initiate contact with some of the extremists who may be under investigation or active monitoring and you know, tip them off that the government is tracking their plans. If the FBI was proactively engaged enough that the agency tried to discourage extremists from traveling to DC on January 6th, they were clearly concerned about the potential for violence at the national capital. So let me make sure that I have this just clear, Mr. Rosen. The DOJ had intelligence that was credible enough to act on, but still decided not to issue a threat assessment. Is that correct?
I think the intelligence that we had was shared with the police, all the police, the Capitol Police, the Metro Police, and the Park Police.
Oh, that's good to know.
As well as the Secret Service and others.
Yeah, well, but you all didn't feel any. You gave the information out, and there was no role for you to say that there was a threat. You didn't recommend something to these agencies.
No, Congressman, I think the threat of violence was understood by everybody. That was a concern.
Oh, thank you.
That there could be violence at any of the locations where demonstrators came. It was a concern, and
yeah. So it wasn't like milling around, right? It was actual people that wanted to commit violence, right? They weren't just like loitering or hanging out. They didn't want to come and just hang out. They came with the initiation that they wanted to commit some violent acts. Is that correct?
No, well, I don't want to discuss the individuals that are subject of investigation or prosecution. I'm just talking about from an intelligence standpoint and general awareness. I think the police were, as they often are in these situations with large crowds coming to Washington, concerned about the potential for violence.
Thank you. Police Chief, were you aware prior to January 6th that the FBI had reached out to known extremists to discourage them from traveling to Washington, D.C.? Were you aware of it?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do in response?
We canceled days off. We deployed our entire department. We put out the members on 12-hour shifts. We brought in agencies from 3 other departments stationed in the District of Columbia. We had other agencies stationed outside the District of Columbia in the event that they needed to respond into the district, in the event that things got really bad, and they did respond in.
And did you feel that you received sufficient threat information about the intentions of those coming to commit violence in Washington, D.C. on January 6th from DOJ, which was the lead agency in charge of intelligence gathering?
So there have been a lot of discussion around that. And I think before I have publicly testified to the fact that I think when you have information, whether it's raw, unvetted data, et cetera, I think that in a situation like this, it certainly warrants more than an email being sent out.
Absolutely.
To the partners. And
I couldn't agree more, Chief.
The conversation that has been had, and I can honestly say that since then, when there is threat information, significant threat information, those are now phone calls.
Well, I can't help but think that if the FBI and Department of Justice used even a fraction of the resources that they dedicated explicitly towards what they call Black identity extremism and the secretive Operation Iron Fist, which the American public still know nothing about, that this attack on our capital, I mean, I wish they put that kind of resources and energy and focus, because it really did put the lives of many of us members, senators, and the staff at risk, which all could have been avoided if they, again, had that political will and kind of intention of, again, treating these folks that they had intelligence from already, that they were going to commit violent acts. Thank you so much, and I yield.